It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1!
and welcome back to another 40 Facts. For the greater...
I was like, wait, what? Because it sounded correct.
But it wasn't.
No. This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, comment down below. Put a question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. And that is what... Let me get to the question. Radosk did. Yeah. What was the biggest battle in 40K history? Good question. So let's break it down. The number one, the largest battle that in Imperium history has to be the
Olanor Crusade.
Yeah. So that was all of the legions of the Imperial Army, which made up all the Space Marine legions, all the Imperial Army, the Navy, and any, what is it called? Like not the freebooter. What are they? Rogue trader.
Okay.
Around the area that could assist to fight the Olanor planet or the Olanor Empire of the Orcs. And the Orcs, it was just a massive Orc empire.
I think this is the biggest Orc, wall or whatever you want to call it, ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
To the point where they had technology never heard from again on that world. It was ruled by like some overfiend or something like that. And it was just a massive battle. The Imperium won, of course.
Right.
The second would be the Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
Because it's smaller than the other one, because the Horus Heresy was just the legions, fighting against the legions. Whereas like before it was the Orcs. And then the third, what would you say?
I feel like it'd be maybe the fall of Cadia. Because, you did have Eldar fighting, you had the Black Crusades, you had Demon Primarchs, demons in there, you had Space Marines, Cadia, Imperial Guard.
Yeah.
It was just such an epic battle, and it led to epic events. So in the term of biggest, this might have been probably one of the more important battles out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of foes going at it.
I would agree. Because I was going to say the Indominus Crusade, but no, the fall of Cadia and the 13th Black Crusade was much bigger than the Indominus Crusade. Good question.
Yeah, very interesting.
Moving on.
This one is by Wookie810. Do you guys think that Gork and Mork will manifest into the physical world at some point to carry out their own WAAAGH? Is that within their nature? And if so, when do you think they'll do it?
No, I think that the lore for the Orcs is mimicking Islam with like the Prophet. So God's school is Muhammad. And then God is Gork and Mork. And just like in Islam, you will never see God.
I think
see the Orcs.
Right. I think in general, any chaos god or any god for that matter won't be anywhere in a physical form. Because their power would just be too great. Like, if, for example, if you have Khorne coming into the physical plane, like, he's just gonna be blowing up planets left and right. Like, he's that much of a strong being.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the Gork and Mork, they're not that. They're not as strong as the Chaos Gods. They're not that big of a threat. But even though, they're still gonna wreck some stuff if they do manifest. But because of that, I doubt they'll ever appear.
Yeah, I get you. Next question.
Keeping up with the Orc lore, or the Orc theme, Gad Yarviv. So why so little love for the Orcs from GW, and Xenos in general? In Age of Sigmar, they have several separate armies of Orcs and Grots, not just clan and tribes, but unique armies with unique units. However, in 40K, you only have one Orc army. The only ones who have several armies are the Imperium. But the Imperium don't usually fight the Imperium, so why so many Imperial armies? What's the point?
So it's just buying power. There's more buying people. More people are buying Space Marines and Imperial stuff than there are people buying Orc stuff. Right. So it's really your fault. No, I'm just kidding. That's why the Xenos don't get that much love, I feel. And then you also have to think, because sometimes when you play Warhammer 40K, you have like just a vision of what you care about. In your avenue, so like you do tabletop and that's it. But there's a huge thing, or there's different genres for GW. So you have the books, which of course are going to focus on Imperial. people. And then you have the games. Again, the Imperium is the focal point. So all those things make it so that if you're introduced to the Warhammer 40K universe, your first protagonist is going to be a human.
Right.
So that's why you're gonna. That's why other races don't get love, except for the humans, because most people go in because of the humans, which makes sense. But the Tau are getting a codex.
Yeah.
They're the next ones, right?
Yep. The rumor has it Tau's gonna be next, and then either Dark Eldar or Necrons somewhere after that. But yeah, and then the cool thing is, before I cut you off, they are focusing on the Fifth Sphere expansion. So they are progressing the lore for the Tau. I actually didn't think they were gonna do that because they just brought in a whole bunch of lore and other aspects back in 7th edition for the Tau. So that's pretty cool.
And their I was gonna say their point value is gonna go down for their weapons. Did you hear that?
No, I did not.
Was that good or bad?
That's good.
For you, right?
Yeah, I mean, less points means you can bring more things in and whatnot. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Of course, yeah. Yep.
Oh, and on that same topic, you were talking about the different avenues and whatnot.
Yeah.
There is a game that has just been announced, and it will focus on you being the AdMech. So like the Skitarii and the...
Are you talking about the Mechanicus?
The Mechanicus, yeah.
Yeah.
So again, more Imperial focused games, yeah.
I might do a video on that. Anyways, next question. I have one from Sillermanran. Have you two seen the Warhammer 40K Death of Hope short? If so, what did you think? We answered this before. I didn't really like it.
I liked it. I think it looked really... Like, it looks how 40K should look, in my opinion. There's, like, people running.
That's all she does. She runs, and that's my beef with it.
Yeah, so she's running because obviously you got, people in drop pods coming down, people firing and whatnot. So it looks pretty amazing. You could feel the weight from each Space Marine on there, and it just looks amazing. I like it.
Next one.
This one's by Calvin Heyman. So I got a friend at my local game shop who wants to build a fan chapter based on pirates. Are there any worlds or places in the Imperium that has pirates in it, or is known for piracy?
Yeah, so you could tell them to buy the Dark Heresy book, and then it's full of really good lore from the Calixis sector. You can create an Imperial army, and then just say that you could use the rules for an Inquisitor, and say that your Inquisitor is like maybe going undercover as a pirate to catch like other pirates trading with Xenos and doing things that you're not supposed to. And then you could just build a really nice, massive Imperial army where you could have Skitarii in there, you could have Adeptus Custodes, you could have Space Marine, you could have whatever you want, Imperial Guard, of course. And then your main focus, your captain, is going to be an Inquisitor. So you would use the rules for an Inquisitor.
Right, because I mean, Rogue Traders and Inquisitors, they're essentially pirates in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next question comes from Alan S. What was gates? You mentioned them in the question, what if the Emperor died? The what gates? Oh, the Dolem gates. So they were, I think it's an alien technology that lets you do faster than light travel. Basically, they're just portals that create wormholes.
I was about to say that, yeah.
So if you have a Dolem gate on the eastern fringe, and then you put a Dolem gate on the west, you just like can cross through it. And they were used by a Xeno species. I want to say the Necrons, but at the same time I don't want to because they travel differently. They use like physics bending things, and like a Dolem gate is still physics. Like wormholes exist in physics. Yeah.
Zach Zane. How come GW hesitates to move the story along? The way I see it, moving forward will let them introduce new models, and just because a character dies doesn't mean people won't still play that model from older periods, such as 30K, etc.
They're not anymore. They're moving, I think, a little too fast. Because in reality, we've already passed the Indomitus Crusade, and yeah. The thing is, though, that does happen. Who's gonna play Malnius, or who's gonna play Calgar now that Gilliman is out?
Right. It's like you would play Calgar because he's the top of the whole Ultramarines, but boom, he just got dethroned.
Marnius.
Yeah.
That's his name.
Right, Marnius Calgar.
There you go. I couldn't remember.
But yeah, they're like we talked about earlier, the Tal are progressing with their 5th Spear expansion. The whole Fall of Cadia, Rise of the Primarch, that was advancing everything forward. So it's ever since like I'd say middle half of 7th edition, they've been bumping everything up. And I think it's moving along at a good rate. Obviously, they can't just progress the story 10,000 years because there's a lot of things that can happen, story-wise, lore-wise, in those 10,000 years. So it takes time.
Next question. I have one from Mandalore the Hunter. Hey fam, what did the Emperor think of Fulgrim using his Chaos Sword? He didn't like it.
Yeah. It was a Xenos blade from the... what are they called?
Fulgrimites?
No. I forgot, but they're like snake people. I forgot what they're called.
Slytherin.
Severus Snape.
There you
go. This one's by Jason Gray. How come there's no God of Order? Wouldn't that balance the Chaos Gods? Why isn't there one?
Check out our 40 facts on Is the God an Emperor, and you'll get your answer. The answer is that the Emperor is the God of Order. What?
You scared me there.
Next question.
This one is a question based on questions. Dragon Punch number 3. What does it mean to question?
To comment down below. George Kessler asks, could and would a human ever try and take the time to raise orcs in an attempt to make a civilized orc? Yes, it has happened.
Yeah.
Xenologists throughout the history of the Imperium have attempted to get into contact with orcs and just try to be their friends. And what usually ends up happening is that they get to the point where, yes, they ally themselves with an orc, and then all of a sudden they turn around and bam, they get shot in the head because they're cunningly brutal.
And sometimes they're brutally cunning too.
Yeah. But yeah, it has happened before, and it's never a good idea. So that the orcs are really the first aliens encountered by humans, which is why I think that the Imperium is so xenophobic. It is because, imagine if you grew up inside your house your entire childhood. Sorry, I can't talk today. And then you come out, and the first person you see spits on you and then punches you on the face.
What the hell?
From then on, you're going to think that people are just shitty. And that's essentially what an orc did to a human. Spit in their face and punched them.
But an orc likes that.
Right, so then your perception of everybody else will be that all aliens want to punch me and spit on me. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like it's the same thing now. Like, let's say we encounter aliens now, and they're like really hostile and aggressive. Any alien race we encounter after that will be based off of that assertion that, oh, these guys are hostile. The next ones must be hostile too. So,
yeah. And those were the questions for today. If you have more questions, comment down below. Yeah. If your question did not get answered, try again.
Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. But if we didn't get to that question first, you can always head on over to Patreon. We do Patreon specific for the Greater Wars, and we answer each one of your questions there.
With that said, this was Gersh1,
Sound Alchemist, and we are out of here.